In this lesson, we're going to go over inverse variation. A direct variation you learned in Algebra 1. If I have y equals k times x as a direct variation, as you pick a number, for example, your wages per hour. Say you earn $10 per hour. If you work 2 hours, that would be 2 times 10, that would be $20. Inverse variation, my formula is y equals k over x. As my value of one quantity increases, the other quantity decreases proportionally. That's what makes it an inverse variation. In this equation, k is our constant of variation. In problem number 1, we're going to identify it as a direct or inverse variation. So I am going, or neither. I'm going to look at my values of x. So I have 2, 4, 10, 15. As x increases, the value of y decreases. So they're going in opposite directions. So it is not a direct variation. So to figure out if it's a inverse variation, I need to figure out my constants of variation. The way I do it, I'm going to go 2 times 15 is 30. So that constant is the same. And then I'm going to take my next pair. I am going to go 4 times 7.5. That also gives me 30. And I go 10 times 3 is 30. And then 15 times 2 is also 30. So as x increases, my y decreases. They're going in opposite direction, and my constant of variation is all the same. So my product is 30. So they're inverse variation. So my formula is y equals 30 over x. In problem B, I'm going to figure out what kind of variation this is. So I'm going to look at my x values. I'm going to go 2, 4, 10, 15. My x are increasing. My y values are decreasing. So this suggests it might be an inverse relationship. So I need to figure out my constant. I'm going to go 2 times 10 is 20. And I go 4 times 8 is 32. So I really don't have to do any more of the calculations because I need to get the same number every time. I do not get the same numbers, so these are not an inverse relationship. In problem number 2, we want to figure out an inverse variation, and they tell me that x and y vary inversely. I get x, they tell us x is 4, y is 12. So if it varies inversely, I know it's y equals k over x. So then I'm going to substitute my values. It says x equals 4. So I'm going to put k over 4. Y equals 12. So now I want to solve the equation. So to solve this equation, I'm going to multiply each side by 4. And these two will cancel out. And then I get k equals 48. And it said that it varies inversely, so y equals 48 over x. In part B, we're going to graph this function y equals 48 over x. That's inversely. So I am going to pick numbers that are 48 divides by. So I'm not picking random numbers. As x increases, what should happen to y? Decreases, because it's inverse variation here. So I'm going to go 48 divided by 3 is 16. 48 divided by 4. And then I'm going to do the rest of them. So I have a table of values, so I need to make a graph. And I'm going to, as my x increases, my y decreases, so there we go. So in part C, we want to find the value of y when x is 10. So I'm going to use the graph to give me an estimate. So here's where 10 would be. So I know it's more than 4 and less than 8. So here's my function, y equals 48 over x. I'm going to plug 10 in. 48 divided by 10 is 4.8. And if you look on the graph, we knew it was more than 4 less than 8, so that would be correct.